A couple of things. I see that we have some arichas coming up. Not so much today, but I think soon, and we may have to devote, like much more time to get through the arichas. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so it says Od Kavana Be'inyan Hamea Brachos. So reading across the top, it says Od Yirtza, if you want, Im Ha'omor Ki Klalos Mea Brachos. The general idea of the 100 brachos, Sharsham Hu Sag, has a root in the word Sag, in the name Sag. Milu Shaloch Bebilti Osios Peshuto, so they're just a Milu by itself, Shulch Gematria Lamed Zayin. That's what we said previously, comes to Hu Sag V'Lamed Zayin, which is Mea Ber Khan. So we mentioned that idea. So now he says something else. He says, Chavrim B'Shem Adni. Now, if you put together, there's a way you can put this together with the name Adni. Azhi Gam came B'Sod Mea Brachos. So how does that work? B'Zecha Ba'Ofenhu. It goes like this. Now, he said, Yitzayir the Aleph Shal Adni, which we've done many times before, but the seer of Yud Vav Yud. So, which is a Yud of above and like that. V'gam Titzayir Os Nun Shal Adni. But then also he says you should do the same thing with the letter Yud of the Adni, B'tzir Yud Nun. Now exactly how we got that, I don't see it. Maybe you could tell me. Kazan. So that he shows you. So then you have Hare. So you have the Yud Vav Yud, and then you have the letter Dalid, and you also got the Yud. I don't know where he got the. I'm not sure where this Yud from. So the Dalid Yud, and then he has the letters Nun and Yud. He's a Betzir Hazer Ola Begematria Kuf. So it comes out to Kuf. So you have 22 and 14. 26 and 14 makes 40. And then the other two is 60, that makes 100. The question to me is that, I don't see all of this. I can't say, I don't know where he got the D from. I don't know how he did that, but here we're going to look at the Tiv now and understand it. What he's trying to say. He wants to say that intrinsically in the name Adni is the concept of 100. I'm not sure why we needed to know that or how that helps me, but let's see, maybe I'll pick it up later. So we started with Yud Zayin, and he says, Od Yesh the Farish Be'inyan Hamea Bracha Berchan. So let me explain this in regards to this. Is another way you could see it. He says, Od Yesh the Farish Be'inyan Hamea Bracha Tefi Hagdam Azu. So let's try to understand this. He says, V'Tefi Hagavonacham is Ba'eris Ato. So now we'll try to explain now. He says, Oz ein zed talui b'nai. It doesn't really depend on the nai to ima niknasa b'zah, because we had said that you had a 63 in ima, and then it comes out, it becomes a 37. It's interesting. Ella havabirku, but the idea really here is explanation. Hu shorish shel hamea brachos, the root of the mea brachos. Hu b'shem havai b'milui sag. It is in the name havai with the milui sag. Imam milui the Havaya the Sag, along with the milui below Osios Havaya Peshutos, without the Peshutos, that all goes up to which is Lamed Zayim, Ola b'mizbah Lamed Zayim, and then going on, he said V'Sag v'Lamed Zayim b'Yachad Heim Ola b'mizbah Meya. That's what we had said previously. V'Heim Ramazin the Meya Brachos, and that's how you understand the Meya Brachos. Is the 63 plus 37. Now he says you could bring it together with the name Adni. So how's that work? When Zer Anpin receives the 100 brachos, so here now he wants to say Adni is named for Malchus. So he wants to say, well, how in fact does it work in its way into Malchus? So v'oz gam hanuk mekabelas as a mea brachos. So v'atem b'farish rav heich nir mazem b'mea brachos b'nukva. So he wants to say, how can you see this word nir mazem has not got the best word for it yet, but it means reference or a hint. So there's a hint in it. Shahare os aleph hu merkavis ma'os vav be'emsa. So it's grafted together like this. There's a vav in the middle, a mishnei yudin mishnei tzedachos, and then there's two lid. You could look at it like this. There's two yuds on it, two yuds on its sides. And Mamela after the sire as ha aleph. So let's just take the letter aleph of the name Adni. And let's just take that by itself. But often yeshna os yud lamala os vav be'emza os yud lamata. So that's Yovi, and it's or what I pronounce Yovi anyway. It's a yud vav yud, like that. Okay, which is a gematria 26. We know that. So he said. Then let's go to the os nun. Yesh la barosha yud. Now I'm not sure that I understand that. I look at his drawing over the other side, and does the nun have a yud on its top? But he says that. So he says nun yesh lo barosha yud, v'lechein after the tzayir as hanun the os yud v'os nun, like in two different forms or two different pieces. Shuhu b'tzir yud and nun kazeh. So then he says, so you have a yud and nun. Now here's what you want to do. He said v'nimsa shem adni. He says, a nichta b'tzir kazeh. Sha'alav shel adni, murchav ma'osias yud vav yud. Va'osias va'os dalid, he os dalid. Then you just take the letter dalid by itself, and so that's the next letter. You don't do anything fancy with it. So he says, you take the letter dalid, who os dalid ma'adni. Then you go to the os nun shel adni, titzayir ba'osius yud and nun. So form it up so that it becomes a yud and a nun. Hayud al hanun. So then you have, it's like a yud on top of the nun. Os yud he hayud shel adni. So the yud represents the nun of the ya'adni. V'yachtav him like this, yud vav yud. So that's 26. Plus 14, so that's, I guess he's putting the yud together with the dalid, making it easier. I don't know exactly what he's doing here. He says 26 plus 14 makes 40, and then the nun with its yud makes 100, 60, which is 100. Okay, let me see if we got just a little bit more to do. Now, exactly, that seemed to me like it was not exactly, it's like twisting it, like a certain way. He wanted to show that's where it is. I can't really see why you would take it like this, or there was another way, but he showed there's a way in which you could see it inside the name, the 100, inside of the name Adni. V'tzira now shall Adni bezecha ofen, if you do it like this, he says, Oda begematria kof. So now he says, Kavan, is the Mizbar Samach Hey. So if you take this and you add it on with the name with the letter Samach Hey, so maybe he's got something else here. It's a number 65. Shu b'gematria Adni. Adni is a gematria basically of 65. Yesh l'hosif od shloshi v'chamesh. You're missing 35 numbers to get it to 100. Mishum. So it by itself is a 65. That's Adni by itself. Mishum sheba'os aleph. So we said again, aleph is yud vav yud. Yesh hosafa shal esrim v'chamesh. There's an additional. You're adding in here 25 al misbar echad hu ha'aleph. Now, why are you adding 25? That's 26. But he says you add 25, and now you have 65 and 20 is 85. That's 90. So he says, a misbar echad shuhu ha'aleph kamos shahi, like it is. Let me read back again. He says, yesh hosafa al esrim v'chamesh. So now you have 25 that you take from the name yud aleph, the letter aleph. That's the first letter of the adni. Al misbar echad. So it's missing one, shuhu ha'aleph kamos shahi, which is just the aleph itself, he says. Then you're going to go over and you're going to do the same thing. Let's see what you're going to do with the nun. Yud nun. Yesh hosafa shal eser shal al misbar chameshim. So what you have there is an additional 10 that you put on top of it. Shehi ha'os nun kamo shehi, just the regular nun. V'yachad heim shloshim v'chamesh. If you add them up, it comes out to be 35. That's the 35 you add on to 65. Because shecha v'titzaref yachdav shloshim v'chamesh im samachay. So if you do it like that, harizeh oilam mizbar meya. This comes out to a count of 100. The nimsa shecha v'malchus. So therefore, this is what we're seeing, and we're understanding how this goes. Mekabelas b'chazah esameya brachos. The Mea Oros, he says, and that happens as a result of, this is her reception here, we see it in her name. In the form that we said before, Yud rather, Adal Yud, Haim, and the Nun with the Yud. He says, hey, Begematria Mea. That's two different ways that we saw that we could take Adni and we could switch it around in such a way that it says that it has the receptacles, that's my words, to be able to receive the brachos.